London, 1683. A fire tears through the royal stables. A coded sermon echoes from a dissenting pulpit. A man is found dead in the Tower, his throat slit, razor in hand. The government calls it the horrid conspiracy, a Whig plot to assassinate King Charles II and his Catholic heir. But buried beneath pamphlets, prison walls, and courtroom theater lies a different story. A story whispered by a debtor named Edward Massey, who, just before vanishing into history, handed authorities a 9-page list of names they didn't dare pursue. What if the Rye House plot wasn't just a foiled coup, but a state-scripted performance where fear became power and truth was too dangerous to speak? In the early 1680s, England teetered on the edge of civil collapse. King Charles II, once celebrated for restoring the monarchy after Cromwell's Puritan rule, now faced growing public distrust. His brother and heir, James, Duke of York, was a Catholic. In a nation soaked in Protestant blood and fear, that alone was a threat. Parliament had been dissolved, dissenters were jailed. The press was muzzled, but resistance did not die. It scattered into Whig taverns, underground printing presses, and private meetings behind church doors. Many feared that the crown intended to forge an absolute monarchy with Catholic backing. By 1683, intelligence services were everywhere. Mail was intercepted, conversations were recorded by informers. Then came a plot so sensational it gripped the entire kingdom. A group of men, mostly veterans and Republicans, had supposedly planned to ambush the king's carriage near Rye House on his return from the races. Arrests followed swiftly, dozens, including prominent nobles. Some were tortured, others turned informants, and within weeks, the gallows in London ran red. But what if the entire affair was something else entirely? What if key witnesses vanished or never existed at all? And what about a forgotten man named Edward Massey, who submitted a secret report before disappearing, one that the crown swiftly buried? The official version of the Rye House plot goes something like this. A group of radical Whigs, furious about King Charles II's refusal to bar his Catholic brother James from the throne, conspired to assassinate the king on his return from Newmarket horse races. They would ambush the royal party at a bottleneck near a manor called Rye House. Gunmen, horses, a quick strike, it would be over in minutes. That was the story the crown ran with. But here's what actually happened, and where the truth begins to unravel. Edward Massey, a once prominent parliamentarian general who fought against the monarchy in the English Civil War, was now living in obscurity. Deep in debt, sick, and politically irrelevant, Massey reappeared briefly in March 1683. Out of nowhere, he submitted a 9-page document to government authorities. It named conspirators, outlines, locations, and intentions to disrupt the monarchy. But here's the problem. Many of the names on Massey's list were never investigated. And within weeks, Massey vanished from the record entirely. No arrest, no trial, no death notice. His document was buried, his voice silenced. Why? Meanwhile, Charles II's intelligence chief, Lord Sunderland, received tips from various agents, some real, some fabricated. The king's court began collecting informants, pamphlets, intercepted letters, anything to justify a crackdown. But no physical evidence existed yet. That's when Josiah Keeling, a London joiner, came forward. He said he knew of a conspiracy to ambush the king. His claim was vague, but perfectly timed. From this moment forward, the Rye House plot became a media event, the 17th century equivalent of a televised trial. Authorities descended on Whig leaders and former Republicans. Among them, Lord William Russell, a respected parliamentarian, Algernon Sidney, philosopher and fierce critic of monarchy Thomas Walcott, a former soldier James Holloway, a radical printer. Some were accused based on hearsay alone. Others were linked only through letters, which later turned out to be questionable in authenticity. Under duress, or the promise of clemency, several turned kings witness. One of them, Lord Howard of Essex, gave long, winding testimony that implicated everyone, yet avoided providing any verifiable detail. The trial of Lord Russell became a national spectacle. He was denied a proper defense counsel. Evidence against him relied on alleged spoken intent, with no direct action or weapon involved. His execution shocked the nation. He was beheaded in public. His wife, Lady Rachel, held his hand as he walked to the scaffold. The message was clear: oppose the monarchy and you will be erased. But perhaps the most suspicious incident was the death of the Earl of Essex. A former ally of Cromwell, Essex was arrested early in the crackdown and imprisoned in the Tower of London. Days before he was to testify in court, he was found dead. His throat had been slashed deep and wide, from ear to ear. A razor was found beside him. The government ruled it suicide, but the wound was unusually brutal. No witnesses heard a struggle, and curiously, his death eliminated one of the few men who might have spoken truthfully under oath. Many historians today believe Essex was silenced. One of the most disturbing parts of this affair was the Crown's use of the second witness rule. At the time, a person could not be executed for treason without two independent witnesses. But in multiple trials, the government stretched this law, allowing circumstantial evidence or repeated testimony from the same informants. In Sidney's trial, for instance, his own unpublished writings, his philosophical musings, were used as evidence of intent to overthrow the monarchy. Words, not actions, became the rope around his neck. He was executed on December 7, 1683. Throughout all of this, Edward Massey's name never reappears. His detailed report, delivered months before the crackdown, was never referenced in trial transcripts. Some believe it may have predicted the government's plans or exposed real dissenters the Crown chose to protect. Others think Massey may have been used as a decoy, his list serving to bait others into speaking out. Either way, his disappearance remains one of the most haunting silences of the entire Rye House affair. So what was the Rye House plot, really? A desperate Republican uprising to stop a Catholic succession? A last gasp of Civil War politics in Restoration England? Or was it a trap, carefully baited and brilliantly executed by the monarchy to justify a purge of dissent? The signs point in unsettling directions. No weapons were found. No clear leader of the supposed assassination plot was ever identified. The location of the ambush, Rye House, was never even visited by the king due to a scheduling change. And then there's Edward Massey. His 9-page report, which could have provided the foundation for early arrests or exposed the real players behind the scenes, was erased from history. Could it be that Massey's list implicated figures too powerful or politically useful to touch? Or had the monarchy already planned the crackdown and used scattered informers like Massey to manufacture a narrative of national peril? One thing is certain. After the Rye House affair, England changed. The Whigs were shattered. Public executions multiplied. Dissent retreated underground. And the monarchy? It grew stronger, more centralized, more ruthless. What began as a tale of assassination may, in truth, have been something far darker. A performance staged with actors, informants, and vanishing witnesses, all designed to consolidate power and silence the past. History often wears the mask of certainty, but behind that mask are stories shaped by fear, power, and silence. The Rye House plot remains one of the most contested political events of 17th century England, a moment when truth bent under pressure, and men like Edward Massey simply vanished. Were the conspirators real? Were their plans ever close to action? Or were they just names on a list? Scapegoats for a message the monarchy needed to send? Perhaps we'll never know. But in the shadows of these forgotten trials and missing documents, one truth stands clear. Those who control the narrative often control the future, and those erased from history may have known too much. Now it's your turn to decide. Was this a genuine conspiracy or a political theater cloaked in blood? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if stories like this intrigue you, stories of buried evidence, unanswered questions, and manipulated truths, consider subscribing, because this is just one chapter in a world where history doesn't always tell the whole story.